Hello everyone. About a year ago, I started developing a game, and it's my first time developing a game, and I've been releasing um, at sort of uneven intervals little devlogs of it. So this video right here is going to be slightly longer. It's sort of a 1 year milestone, and we've got a lot of features since I first started, so I'm going to go over all of them today. Right here, we're just on the test screen because, for the demo, it has all the controls on it, just about every control. Yeah, let's just get into it then. It's way laggier when I record. Anyways, it's just like a basic 3/4 style RPG. You can walk around, you can dash if you double tap, and you have some basic attacks. So if I click, I will swing the sword, right? The sword that's on my back right there. And if I hold, I will aim and then swing harder. I can also press E. That'll do a stabbing attack that knocks enemies back. If I hold right click, the sword transforms into this gun thing, and now all of my attacks are different. So first of all, if I click, it shoots out a little ball. And if I hold, you can see there's a meter on top of there keeping track of how much power the shot has. I can slowly gain power. Then when I shoot, it's way bigger, knocks all of the enemies back. These are just dummies for testing purposes. I can also hold E, and what E will do is it'll scan everything around me and give me some information about it. On top of these basic attacks, you can change them a little bit with upgrades. So if I go Shift Q, I open up an upgrade GUI, and if I click this thing right here, you can see that I have different upgrades for each of the sword's modes. So this right here will change knockback, this will do damage, and then this will change stance. Now, damage is pretty straightforward. So after you've unlocked an upgrade, you can put points in either direction, right? So if I go this way on the knockback, what it means is that I will now knock things further back, right? So here's a guy, I'm going to hit it with knockback. You can see he goes pretty far, but if I go the other way, you can see he hardly moves at all. So there are certain situations where maybe you want to hit things further, others where you don't want to hit them as far, so that's why you have an option there. There's also an option to increase and decrease your damage. Now I'm sure for most cases you're just going to want more damage, right? Obviously. But maybe there's a situation where, I don't know, killing something will cause it to explode and hurt you, and you don't want to damage it, but you do want to hit it very far. So that'll become more useful in the future. The last upgrade for the sword is a stance. So as it currently stands, I just move around, I can run, and when I press E, I do a jab. If I put points either way in stance, you can see a little explanation down there. I will actually change what my E ability is as well as how my dash works. So if I go to the right, my E move now becomes a dashing attack, like that. You can see I'm going through the enemies, doing a lot of damage. Also, my normal dash goes a lot further. I don't know if you can really see that. And if I go the other way, my dash doesn't go as far, but what does change is that I have a lot more friction, so things that knock me back won't knock me back as far. Also, my E ability, instead of being that stab, stabs like that, which does a lot of damage. These abilities have their own cooldown, and if you try to use E again before that cooldown's over, it just does the normal stab. There are also several upgrades for the gun. So one is blast back, which is the same as knockback. The other is ranged damage. And then the last one that I really want to point attention towards is this power redirection. So this ability mostly affects your scanning ability. So the more points I put to the right on this, the more information I'll get out of things when I scan them, right? So right now, I put 1 point in. This shows me the exact center of an object. So if I want to shoot this so that it goes in a certain direction, I can just aim relative to that, and it's a lot easier to line up your shots that way. Put another point in. Now it shows me more information. It shows me there. Here. shows me their health, it shows me their weight, because things will have different weights, so they'll get knocked back further or less. And yeah, and then the last point here will not only show me all their information, it'll also show me exactly where they will go if I shoot them, right? So let's see if I can prove this point right. It's going to land right on that coin. Yep, exactly where the line goes. And then if I put points in the other direction, you've noticed this sort of bar up here. The more points I put on that to the left, it'll change how quickly the sword both charges as well as recharges after an attack. So this is more useful if you're trying to, you're in a high intensity combat situation where you just want to shoot as much as possible. So other than your basic attacks and upgrades, you also have items. So if I press Q, I open up an inventory, and I already have some other items in here. I can go get the rest of them real quick, but in the meantime, the first type of item that you'll run into are these potions. And the way potions work is whenever you press R, after selecting an item on your hotbar, you'll use it. Potions are thrown objects, so if I aim somewhere, like at this dummy, I'll throw this potion right here. You can see it arcs over, lands, and in this case, for this spicy bottle, it creates a fiery location on the ground that does damage over time. Now I'm going to go inside because I have more potions stored in there. And you can see that there are different rooms because, that's how games work usually. And there are other potions. So I'm going to show these off now. So the first potion was this fire one. It's basically just like a Molotov. The second one we'll go into is this heavy potion, and this makes things heavier. It's a little more straightforward, I guess. Heavy things don't like to move as much as light things, so I can show that off right here. You can see that this guy was knocked back further than this guy. This guy's heavier. Also, now I'm heavy, and it wears off after a quick little bit. There are other interactions between these potions too, so something, I guess I'll get into it right now. There's also this bow item, and this is a ranged weapon, but it's different from the sword because arrows work slightly differently. There's something that you have to collect and then use. There's no unlimited supply. And they can also land in the ground, and you can charge the bow. It's a different tool. And something I'd like to show off specifically is that you can make arrows heavy using this heavy potion. You can basically tip them. So both of these dummies have 20 health right now. I'm going to fully charge a shot and then shoot it at this dummy. And then you can see it's a little purple now and there are little bubbles coming off. And then I'm going to shoot one at this dummy. And this dummy has 16 health. And this dummy has 14. So heavy arrows also do more damage. That's just an example of item interactions in this game. The third potion, I guess, is this windy one. Not windy, it's windy. Throwing this at enemies will cause them to be blown. So there's some dummies, throw it, boom, they're blown. Also, you may have noticed that potions have little particles on top of them. If I throw a fiery potion at this, or a spicy bottle, it starts blowing the fire in whatever direction. You could also throw it here, and I throw another windy potion on top. You can see that it creates this sort of central flame where it just spreads all over. You can also be blown. See, there I am getting blown. And, yeah, that's that. Pretty simple. Coming back outside, we now have water bottle. Yeah, sure. Water, it's just water. Makes things wet. I can walk over here. Now I'm damp. I can become undamped by lighting myself on fire. Water has a lot of interactions with other potions. It's not the most useful thing in and of itself. But before we can get to those interactions, I guess we have to get to the other potions. So we have a freeze potion right here. It creates this icy little area, and things that are on the icy area will get frozen. So this dummy right here is frozen. A couple things change. First of all, movement speed and attack speed, all that stuff on enemies will go down because they're colder. Same thing happens to the player too, so right here I am getting frozen. You can see that I'm now so frozen that I'm stuck in place. That's not so good. Gonna blow myself out of that area, and now I can slowly start to thaw. Yep. Also, frozen things. I can throw this frozen potion at this guy. You can see frozen things have slightly less friction, so they'll actually move further. That's a cool thing. And just like the fiery potion, you can blow the particles around to apply the effect to different things. Here's the thing. I can throw a frozen potion, and I can throw some water on it, and it creates this ice cube. There's an ice cube. It's got 13 health. It's a little heavier than a little guy, normal dummy. And I can hit it, and hold on. Let me change my stats. Look at this. I'm using a gameplay feature. Let me hit it, and you can see that he transfers his momentum to the dummy, and he just goes flying. That's kind of hilarious. I don't know if any of the sounds are being recorded in this, by the way, so I'm sorry if there's no audio other than me talking. And also, let's see, as the ice cube takes damage, it will eventually break into 3 smaller ice cubes that kind of just spread completely randomly. These ice cubes weigh less, and they have about the same amount of health. So they transferred, I think the momentum transfer just mathematically ends up being the same. But it's a thing you can do. Let's see. I guess the last potion we'll get into is this lightning potion. So this, I throw it out, and over a large area, strikes lightning on anything it hits. Lasts a very short while, but it's good to see. Also, lightning changes between entities, so you can see how it goes all the way through all of these guys. Very dangerous. Cool interaction. If we pull out this spicy bottle again, and we throw out this water, you can see that the water puts the fire out and creates this steam. Steam conducts electricity, so you can see that the lightning went from here to the steam, and the steam slowly fades away. Also, the lightning does damage. It does not do a lot of damage, but if you want to make lightning do more damage, you can make something wet. So 20 health, 20 health, lightning, 19 health, 15 health. So it does 5 damage instead of 1 damage. So lightning's pretty interesting. It stuns for a while, which is a good and bad thing because you can't hit things repeatedly if they're stunned for a while. Also, if something is damp and it gets struck with electricity, it becomes undamp. That guy was damp, he's now undamp. The player can become damp, they can become undamp as well. So if you can really think of ways to combine all of these potions' effects together, right? So spicy bottle, water. I can now use this wind potion to blow the steam around, get everyone wet. Now I do a big chain of lightning, I damage everyone, including myself. Oops. And that's pretty interesting. And I believe there's only one more potion, and we'll get to that after I talk to some NPCs. So there's an NPC right there. I'm going to go inside and talk to her, because there are also shops. So right now, I do not have any money. So what I'm going to do is real quick, just kill all these guys. And since they drop loot, I'll be able to take all their money and buy some stuff. So I go over here, I talk, there's the player, here's the shopkeeper, and here's the first shop. So these are all the potions we've already seen. So what I'm going to do is go to the next shop, and you can see we have some other items. This is the final potion right here. I'm going to buy 4 of them because they're very, very powerful. And I'm going to get out of that GUI. Alright. So these potions are time in a bottle, and they have effects that are going to, they're pretty important. So basically what this potion does is it, in a small area, will slow down time. So what does that mean? Well, let me show you. There's a potion. You can see the little particles. I hit the dummy into it, the dummy's paused. It's moving slower because time is slower. The potion wears off, and you can see it continues moving at a normal speed. This works for everything too, right? So if I shoot a projectile, you can see all of them are being slowed down in this area. If I walk into the area, because everything's relative to me, you will see that everything outside of the potion area now moves faster. So if I shoot a projectile, I'm moving faster than if I were outside. And if something else were also in a time potion, then they would be moving at the same rate as me. The last cool thing I'll show off with these is that if I put a dummy in a time potion or anything, I can actually start to slice them up very combo attacks. And once they get hit out of the time potion, all of them will do damage. So he left the time potion, took a bunch of damage because I stepped into it. I can also, just for testing purposes, if I hold down B, it applies this effect to everyone. So if you want to get a better view of it, it looks like this. Let's see, stance. I can dash through a time area, and now you can see he's going to take that damage. He's going to hit that. Dummies will always move, or sorry, enemies will always move in the last direction you cut them in. So if I go down for my last hit, now the dummy moves down even though I hit him upwards like 30 times. This is meant to be a way for the player to more easily control the enemies they're hitting. The last feature in this part of the game is bombs. So, never mind, I just remembered 3 more features. So these are all items that you can use. You can only use them while you're not holding your sword, right? So if I go to use a potion, it's not working. I'm pressing R, it's not doing anything. But there are some special items that you can only use in gun mode. So those are going to be these 3 modules down here. So there's a beam module, a zap, and a capacitor. So the capacitor, I mean, they work by just pressing R, will instantly recharge all of my energy. The zap module allows you to place a single electric strike just on any place where you're aiming. It's a little bit more precise than the electric potion, and doesn't cost anything other than a module. The last thing is this beam module right here, and it kind of is just cool. That's that's its role. It's cool. It does a lot of damage, pushes things in the direction of the beam if you can hit it. Oops. Uses a lot of energy though, so this would be a case where the capacitor module is very useful, as well as having your upgrades towards the left here. You're going to want all of these items when you're facing off enemies. Right here is just a sample enemy. It's this wolf. He's going to try to attack me. I'm going to run away. He can't get me. Just kidding. They jump at you. So I'm going to hit it. He's going to run back at me. I'm going to do that. And yeah, he's dead. I have to fix that. The animation, the death animation in the water is the wrong thing. There are a bunch of other interactions too. Like you can see if I hit the water with the beam module, it creates steam. Let's see, there's also bombs. So right here, these are destroyable terrain, this bush. So I can't walk through this bush, but if I hit it several times, it'll break into these leaves. Over here, we've got a bunch of destroyable terrain. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this bomb. So these are time bombs that are set off by you hitting them. So if I hit it, you can see fuse starts, and then it explodes after a short while. They do a lot of damage, and they take not a lot of damage to actually set off, right? So I can set it off by hitting it, but if I hit it again, I will cause it to explode. So this would be an instance where you don't want your damage to be so high. Right, so if I lose damage, you can see it goes that far, but if I have the normal amount of damage, it immediately explodes and I take damage. So there's something to think about. There are also these trees around. The trees aren't really finished features. You can hit them. They drop leaves. Leaves are particles, and you can, blow them around, I guess. See? Like, look at that. Woo! Trees don't really do anything yet other than break, so I'm not going to show them off here. But what I am going to show off, is these two doors here. So over here, you can see I'm basically in a completely different area. So the game that I'm working on has it's basically two games that function roughly the same. So in this mode, you can see instead of arrows and instead of coins, we have these cells. E-cells is what they're called. And then there's also money. Just not the same money because you're a different character. So the only two items, or the only item type so far that's unique to this game mode are these guns. So you have guns. And they work as your ranged attacks. So first of all, instead of a sword, you have your fists. So I can just punch this guy, I can punch. If I hold down the left click, I then charge up and then release a barrage of punches. And if I press E instead of stabbing, it does a little hook that knocks enemies back pretty far. So roughly the same control scheme, just different attacks. And the other thing you have are guns. So in this little area, I guess we can go, let's go over here. All right, so we're sort of isolated now. Actually, I'm gonna go down here. Yeah, okay, I'll go down here. So this is a nice long room. Different guns have different stats, but they all are pretty similar. They shoot when you click, and eventually they run out of ammo. And when you need to reload ammo, what you do is you press R. So in order to draw your weapon, you have to hold down right click. It's the same as the fantasy mode. But in order to reload, you have to have the item selected down in your hotbar. So the pistol right here so far does a little bit of damage, semi-auto. But right here we have a full rifle, and if I just hold down, it fires, and that's cool. Again, everything's a little laggy, so I don't know how weird it is for you guys, but that's that. Let's see. I can showcase a bit of this. So this area right here is inside of a spaceship, and it's going to be an important area in the future. Right here, we're walking towards the shuttle bay, and you can see right there is a big spaceship. I can come over here. I cannot talk to this NPC yet. He doesn't have anything to say, or she doesn't, sorry. But what I can show you is the last game mode that we have, and this one is in space. So I go over here, and you can see I am inside. I'm controlling some kind of ship. There's a balloon. Ignore that balloon. Ignore the balloon. So when you're in space, right, so this ship right here is the one that I was actually just inside with the other characters. If I hold shift then press space, I switch to the other ship, and this was the shuttle that was inside. So going to that shuttle bay is going to be how you get in and out of the ship. You go between the different game modes. So ship controls are kind of straightforward. I wanted to make it more like a spaceship rather than like a jet. So the way it works is that WASD keys, A and D turn you, W pushes you forward, S pushes you back. And because you're in space, there's nothing to slow you down, so you're going to keep going in the same direction forever unless you hit something like I just did. So what you can do is you can hold down R, and what that is it's your brakes. So R will always slow you down, and you can hold R while you're moving too, and it makes it a little easier to control like more precisely where you're going. Currently in the space mode, there's really only you can't really do too much. I need to add weapons and stuff. Also, the collisions are a little weird. I need to fix that. But this is just an unfinished demo of what I've done after a year. I believe, yes, Q and E. So the space levels are in 3 dimensions, right? You can move, up, down, left, right, but also you can move up and down. And as you move up, you can see the ship becomes bigger. You can see that different different objects become more prominent and are easier to see. And you can also move down. And yeah, that's basically it. Ultimately, what I plan on doing is having this ship right here is your shuttle. This is like your main player character, but this is also the big ship that all of the other characters are inside of, and it controls the same as the little ship, but it's not really an active combatant, and it also can't move up and down. It's just like a background piece, basically. And what will happen is that you will be able to move over to one of these bays, go down, dock inside, and also change which little fighter you're using, because there are going to be multiple fighters that you can buy and use. But yeah, I think that's the whole game so far. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments. I have a feeling most of them will be about the data packs. That's okay. And yeah, have a good day, guys.